So I'm sure some of you at home might have played fantasy football leagues or MotoGP World Superbike fantasy leagues or even Bennetts BSB fantasy leagues, but have you ever thought about actually owning your own team, picking your riders, picking your bikes? This guy actually does that. Are you living the dream? Is it as good as it sounds?
Yes. There's always going to be reservations. There's always more that needs doing. There's more to it than you think. But yeah, in general, yeah, I think I am.
And you're enjoying it. This is your third season in the series now. Did you, I guess, ever envisage it getting this big with the size of your squad?
I had no idea. To be fair, I had no idea. I started with OMG with a couple of friends. They're no longer involved. Other business commitments. It took more time than we thought it was ever going to do. We thought it was going to be a nice hobby, something that we all enjoyed. We were all into bikes, all into racing, and it sort of takes over your life. And if you don't dedicate the time, it doesn't work.
And I guess one thing you've learnt sort of since taking over the team or running your own team, is there anything you wish now you knew before you started?
How much work was involved?
Yeah.
I think the public perception, and it was the perception that I had, was there's a race season, it's a third to half the year, and the rest of the time you're sort of at your leisure or back to your normal business, back to your normal work, whatever it may be. And it's not. To do it at the level we're now at and the level we were aspiring to be at the time, it is a 365-day a year job. There's preparation before the season, there's all it takes over. There's so much work, it's ridiculous, and that's what you don't know. You don't know until you do it.
But you're a race fan, you love bikes, it's all worth it, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely worth it, or you wouldn't do it in the end. Yeah. There's way more work involved, and then it's the amount of people that you need, and as I say, you think it's going to be 12 weekends a year. This year slightly different, but 12 weekends a year, that can't be that hard, can it? And it's not. It's 365 days, 7 days a week. It never stops.
And this year you're running BMWs, you've previously run Suzukis in Bennetts BSB. What's the decision making in that?
The ultimate reason is for performance. We want to be at the sharp end. We were running Suzuki. I think we did reasonably well when we were running Suzuki. Last year we finished just 1 point behind the factory team. But there were certain parts that the factory team could have that we couldn't have, that gave them a better performance level. With the BMW, there's nothing that BMW make or any of their partners make that we can't have. We have to buy it, of course, but whereas things like the factory team will get supported in different ways, we have to buy everything. But it's available to us, so if we want to, and we want to compete against them, we can compete on a level playing field.
So you have the ultimate, I guess, catalogue really. At Christmas you can pick all the parts of BMW.
Yeah,
say this.
Yeah, you can pick them. It's whether you can afford them. But we try our best to have the best that we can so that we can beat the sharp end.
And this year you're running Luke Mossey again in the squad, and you've got a new team member joining him on the other side of the garage in Hector Barber.
Quite right, yeah.
And he's obviously got MotoGP credentials, very talented rider. How did that come about?
A combination really. We were looking to push ourselves further forward. We spoke with various people within the paddock. Hector was told by a couple of his friends in the paddock to speak to us, which was nice. I think Stuart Higgs, Championship Director, also suggested that Hector should speak to us when he was looking to change the ride he had. And he just sort of seemed to fit. So he's got still got a massive passion to compete, desperately wants to win, proves that he can do it. He's a genuinely nice guy, So and he's quick, which is the most important bit. I mean, you could put up with somebody that you didn't like if they were quick. Yeah. But the fact that he's quick and he's a nice guy as well, it's just a bonus.
And I've known you for a few seasons now, and I think what's really fantastic about the team, the squad, you as a person, is actually you're not just obviously supporting two Superbike riders and the stock rider in Billy McConnell, but you actually support loads of other riders, don't you? And you've this year sponsored the OMG Ovali Cup as well.
That's right, yeah.
And that's to sort of bring through young talents from a really young age, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, when you're in Superbikes, and we started in Superbikes, which is unusual. The fact that you've got a competitive machine, you then have the pick of Superbike riders, whether they want to come to you or not, it's a different matter. But you only get Superbike riders when they've started at 7 years old and have been racing in whatever category at that point up until they get to Junior Supersport in the BSB paddock and then work their way through. And if I want a superbike rider in 5, 8, 10 years' time, somebody needs to be racing now as a 7, 8, 10-year-old. So to me, that's where you should support people.
I think it's fantastic. I think, yeah, hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you.
It's great. We need that in the UK, and the support, the bikes, the whole setup now looks really trick. So yeah,
Okay.
hopefully.
I hope we're quick as well.
That'll come.
Looking good is one thing, but let's hope we're quick as well.
And I guess finally, this season, what would be a good year for you? What would be a good year for OMG Racing?
I mean, there's no showdown this year, so ordinarily you'd have that. We want to be in the showdown because you're in that top 6. I mean, realistically, we're looking for Hector and Luke to both be right at the very sharp end. Hector feels that he's capable of going for race wins at every round. So you don't want to say these things. You don't want to sort of jinx what you're doing, but we have very, very, very high hopes for both guys. You know, Luke is highly experienced in the paddock, highly experienced on the UK tracks. With this year's the races that we're at, they suit Hector very well. Some of the tracks that maybe weren't going to be as good for him in a normal season have been eliminated. The likes of Cadwell, which is for Hector, is very narrow. So yeah, no, very high hopes. And then on the stock side, Billy should be right there. You know, it's going to be Billy and Richard Cooper and a few others that are going to be all going for podiums every round, I hope.
Brilliant. Well, we can't wait to watch. Best of luck this year, and yeah, wish you all the best.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. Cheers.
In the mid to late 90s, when World Superbike was in its prime, Honda soon got fed up of Ducati beating it with its 1000cc V-twin. So they thought, anything you can do, we can do better. So they decided to build this, the BTR 1000 SP1. Stunning, no compromises, HRC stickers. Can you believe it's 20 years old? So we're going to give one away. Head to bennetts.co.uk to find out how.